Nick, I want to dance with somebody too. It is the G and Ursula show. First,
we're taking it back to 1983.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. First, I want to let everybody know. So here's what happened. Ursula, this past weekend, went and celebrated her 40th year, her class reunion down in Eugene, Oregon. And before we get to all the funny, because I got a lot of funny, I want to get to the seriousness out. Let's get this out of the way first. Ursula, what did it mean to you to go back to Eugene to celebrate your 40th?
I will say that being there this time was more important than 30, 20, and 10.
Why?
Because we have lost so many of our classmates.
Wow.
And I've told you I've been kind of getting in my feels with the last birthday.
You have.
And I told you, I said this past year just kind of smacked me in the face and reminded me of the passage of time.
Yes.
Even though I do not think I'm old. I don't. And frankly, I always tell you and anyone else who stands around long enough that I think it's a privilege to be 58. Mm-hmm. And I love that I get to get older.
Yeah.
And it's something that is not afforded to everybody. And frankly, we had a video tribute to the classmates we lost, and it was so sobering. So that was one thing that was really important. It was really important to be there. Okay. High school is just a blip of time, right? Yeah. But the fact that you can remember so many, the good and the bad, 40 years later, is just telling how impactful those 3 or 4 years can be.
Right.
You know, whether you're in a 3-year or 4-year high school.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that going back to Eugene for me is very difficult. I've shared with all of you that my brother died by suicide. It was in Eugene. Mm-hmm. I've avoided that place like the plague. I can't go there without
thinking about
having those memories come back. And it just brings a lot of sadness. So in the middle of I'm going to get a little emotional, but in the middle of my weekend, I'm driving around and I called my sister, Honey, and I just said, Honey, let's come here in a couple of weeks. I need to reclaim this place. I need to go and make new memories. Yeah. And so for me, this weekend was kind of that. Like, I enjoyed seeing people I hadn't seen since the last reunion, and there were some people that didn't make the last reunion that I saw, and it was like almost everybody, without exception, even the most cliquey people from high school, had dropped that whole thing, and were just kind and just appreciative of all of us who were there and who made the trek and who also just traveled, who were in Eugene but just hadn't seen a lot of people. So that was really important. I know that there are people who are like, I hated high school. Why would I go back? Why do I need to? Why would I punish myself that way? I would just suggest that maybe give it a try because, again, I think it's an opportunity to kind of reclaim those memories too. Mm-hmm. Just make new, good memories.
Yeah, it's kind of like some folks say, when they first started listening to the G and Ursula shows, like, man, the memories wasn't good, but I'm actually kind of like y'all. Hey, okay, well, before we get to the funny, hold on, I got one more question, and this is the first time. And I thought about you this weekend because this is the first time that you were back in Eugene, and this is the place where your father decided to bring his family.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking that, too. I remember we begged our dad to give us – so we were living in the Philippines. My parents were split at the time. We were just going through all sorts of tumultuous times. We had lived in Iran, and my parents almost divorced, and my mom took us back to the Philippines. So – this was a chance for us to get together again as a family. Now, this bring us back to 1978. Okay. And my dad took a demotion to be able to bring our family together because he was on this international trajectory with his company. And it was like, okay, we need to bring back the family together. So what's available? Eugene, Oregon. I mean, going from Manila to Eugene, Oregon is quite the transition.
I thought about that, though. Like, no, I'm being serious. And I thought about it with the class photo that I saw when I was looking for my delegation, right? So the thing is, though, I would love to have been like, what was your father thinking? Like, he's like, okay, I got to get my family back. I got to get us all back.
Yes.
There's all these places I can live in the United States.
Or around the world.
Or this Eugene, Oregon might be a spot because the amount of people at your 40th shows the commitment to community in that area.
For sure. Well, and just I think how special that particular class was, and the efforts that went in from the class president who was in charge of all the reunions, and he really
Shout
took that
out to
job
the class
seriously.
president.
Oh yeah, John Carlson did a great job. But I mean, I never felt like I fit in. I know that people think, oh, you were outgoing. You probably just loved your time there. No. No, I remember I told you I got my shin kicked like day 2 of being in Eugene. By a young girl named Rhonda Stutz, who kicked me just because I was new.
You'll never forget her last name
No.
either.
Well, speaking of, okay, we got about 3
Okay,
minutes.
yeah, I know.
Speaking of
Sorry.
shins being kicked, your shins was kicked years ago, but then your shins were kicked again. You and Long Live Mark stayed at the Comfort Inn Suites. Explain them eggs, them dry eggs, them sausage that look thirsty.
Take a look at my picture.
They couldn't breathe.
The eggs, they made them even deluxe. They put cheese. I think it was cheese. On Friday when I said, he was asking, like, what hotel off the air? Like, what hotel? I said, well, Mark booked it, and more power to Mark. He booked a it was like, what, $150 a night, included breakfast. We liked it. It was so convenient, but bougie Scott. But if you look on our page,
They don't look that dry.
The people agree with me. It was clean. I didn't see bed bugs. It was convenient. The breakfast was decent. We saved money.
No, hold on. The reason why the majority of the people listening and on the Facebook, all of my brothers and sisters of the Gene Ursula show that are listening right now, let me tell you why y'all agree. Because I guarantee you, most of you are part of the Gen X and or baby boomer, deal.
What's wrong with that?
It don't take much for us. We don't really need that much. Just give us some bedding, some clean drawers, you know what I mean? Some breakfast, and we're good to go. Because we came up rough. We came up with 3 channels. We don't even need the TV to work in our hotel rooms. So that's why everybody's agreeing with you.
In a couple of weeks, I'll go to Vegas. I won't stay at a Comfort Inn there, but in Eugene, it was perfectly fine.
I'm glad you brought up Vegas. Why don't you do me a favor and tell the listeners the difference between Eugene, Oregon, Ursula, and Las Vegas, Ursula?
Las Vegas Ursula likes a teeny bit more luxury. But anyway, I want to encourage all of you because I think it's been a fun time actually going back to memory lane, down memory lane.
Yeah.
And a lot of you are sending in your yearbook pictures.
Sure.
Keep doing that.
Yeah.
G and I are having a great time looking at your pictures.
Yeah, we are. Hey, look here. Some of y'all fine. I said this off the air. Ursula came with this one picture. I said, oh, wait. I don't know who that is, but that's fine. Some
she
of y'all
just
graduated in 1970.
I just threw my hat in there. I threw my hat in there.
Susan Latham, class of 1980.
So who's it?
Susan from class of 1980. Gia actually has a crush.
With all due respect, I'm quite sure my wife is listening, but with all due respect, that class of 1980, Susan, oh, wait, you look fantastic. One last point to make before we go, because I figured it out too. Gen X and baby boomers, you know what else we like? We like buffets. Y'all, we get caught up on buffets. I'm done with buffets, y'all. I thought the pandemic kind of slowed us off that. Is that still a selling point for you, Ursula? Ooh, we should stay here because they got a buffet. Like, aren't we done with that?
No.
Nick, don't you think these buffets kind of nasty?
A little bit, yeah. I remember when I was younger, Old Country Buffet, hit or miss.
All right. Your text messages, your feedback, and if you want to tell Ursula how right she is, go ahead. 888-973-5476 is the State Roofing text line. It's G and Ursula.